3 weeks had passed since the Battle of Gantu Station, and the galaxy was still talking about it. Commander Hyunwoo sat in his newly rebuilt office, reading the latest reports from across Coalition space. Every news channel was discussing Earth and humanity. Every political forum was debating what the battle meant for the future. Every military analyst was trying to understand how a single human ship had accomplished what should have been impossible. The reports painted a complex picture. Some species were grateful that a powerful new ally had emerged. Others were nervous about Earth's military capabilities. A few were openly hostile, seeing humanity as a potential threat to the existing power structure. But one thing was universal. Everyone now knew that Earth was not to be dismissed or underestimated. Lieutenant Jiwon entered the office carrying a datapad. She looked different now, more confident and purposeful. The siege had changed her, and the arrival of the White Tiger had shown her possibilities she had never imagined. "Commander, the latest numbers are in," she said. "Krathic swarm activity has decreased by 40% across this entire sector. Several pirate groups have completely withdrawn from Coalition borders. They are afraid. Afraid of one ship?" Hyunwoo asked. "Afraid that there might be more. Afraid that any colony they attack could have Earth's protection?" Jiwon set down the datapad.
"Sir, I submitted my application to the joint training program that Earth offered."
"If approved, I will be going to their military academy for 6 months," Hyunwoo smiled. "You were inspired by Commander Yunji. She showed me what is possible. The Coalition military is good at defense, but Earth understands something we do not. They understand how to project strength, how to make enemies think twice before attacking. I want to learn that. I want to bring those skills back here to protect our people. You have my full support. In fact, I am recommending you personally." Hyunwoo gestured to his own stack of reports. "You are not alone. Applications from Coalition members to Earth's training programs have increased 1,000-fold. Everyone wants to learn from humanity now." Dr. Soman was in her medical bay participating in a video conference with Dr. Minji and several other human medical professionals. They were discussing psychological trauma treatment for populations that had experienced military threats. "The children are doing better," Dr. Soman reported. "The techniques you shared with me have been very effective, helping them process their fear through structured activities rather than trying to suppress it. Thank you for teaching me these methods." Dr. Minji smiled warmly from her screen. "Earth has a lot of experience helping people recover from trauma. Too much experience, honestly. But if our painful history can help others heal, then something good comes from it." They talked for another hour, sharing medical knowledge and techniques. Dr. Soman was amazed at how advanced human psychology and psychiatry were compared to most species. When she mentioned this, Dr. Minji's response was sobering. "We developed these skills because we needed them. After every war, after every conflict, we had millions of people suffering from psychological wounds. We learned to help them because we had to, because ignoring mental health destroyed entire generations." After the conference ended, Dr. Soman sat quietly in her office, thinking about what that meant. Humans had suffered so much in their history that they had become experts in healing suffering. They had faced such darkness that they learned to be lights for others. Young Minho was in the communications center, listening to galactic chatter on dozens of frequencies. The job that had once been routine was now fascinating. Everyone was talking about Earth, about humans, about what the Battle of Gantu Station meant. "Minho," his supervisor called out, "you have an incoming personal message. From Specialist Hana of the White Tiger." Minho's face lit up as he opened the message. Hana appeared on the screen smiling from the bridge of her ship. "Hello, Minho. I hope things are going well at Gantu Station. I wanted you to know that I submitted your name for the Coalition Communications Exchange Program. If you are interested, you could spend 3 months on a human vessel, learning our systems and techniques." Captain Deho approved it personally. He said anyone curious enough to ask good questions deserves good answers. Minho could barely contain his excitement. To serve on a human ship, to learn from them directly, to see how they manage their incredible communication networks. It was an opportunity beyond his wildest dreams. He composed a response immediately, accepting the offer and thanking Hana profusely. As he sent the message, he realized something important. The Battle of Gantu Station had not just saved lives. It had opened doors. It had created opportunities. It had connected species in new ways. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the political ramifications were still unfolding. The Velnar Coalition had formally invited Earth to join as a full member, and after weeks of diplomatic negotiations, Earth had accepted. But with conditions. Humanity would provide military support and training, but they would not be bound by coalition bureaucracy. Human ships would respond to threats as they saw fit, not as committees decided. Some coalition members objected to giving Earth such autonomy. But Elder Tanis had been firm in his support. Earth saved Gantu Station when we could not, the elder statesman said during the council session. They asked for nothing in return except the freedom to continue helping others. If we cannot grant them that freedom, then we do not deserve their help. In the darker corners of the galaxy, the message from Gantu Station was being received very differently. The Krathic swarm was in chaos. Warlord Grakthor had returned to his home base, defeated and humiliated. His warriors no longer followed him with unquestioning loyalty. Several captains had challenged his authority, and the swarm was fracturing into competing factions. But more importantly, the swarm was afraid. For generations they had preyed on the weak with impunity. Now there was a new power in the galaxy, one that hunted the hunters, one that protected the helpless. Other pirate groups and predatory empires were recalculating their strategies. Some chose to move their operations far from coalition space, away from potential Earth patrols. Others decided that the risk of raiding was no longer worth the reward. A few even began exploring legitimate trade instead of theft and slavery. The galactic crime rate in coalition space dropped by 30% in just 3 weeks. Back at Gantu Station, Commander Hyunwoo received a private message from Elder Tanis requesting a video conference. When the Elder's face appeared on screen, he looked tired but satisfied. Commander Hyunwoo, I wanted to apologize. Apologize? For what, Elder? For advising you to surrender. For believing that no help would come in time. For underestimating humanity. Elder Tanis leaned forward. I have been a member of this council for 60 years. I thought I understood the galaxy and how it worked. Earth has shown me that I was wrong. You were trying to save lives, Hyunwoo said gently. Your advice was logical given what you knew. Logic and wisdom are not always the same thing. Captain Deho taught me that. Sometimes doing the right thing means ignoring logic and choosing courage instead. The elder paused. How are your people recovering? Better than expected. The human medical and psychological teams helped significantly, but more than that, the knowledge that someone came to help us, that someone cared enough to risk themselves for strangers, has given people hope. That hope is powerful medicine. Yes, hope is a resource Earth seems to have in abundance, and they are generous in sharing it. After the conference ended, Hyunwoo stood and walked to his window overlooking the station. Repair crews were finishing the last of the construction, fixing damage from the Krathic attack. The station looked different now, stronger. But the real strength was not in the new armor plating or improved defensive systems. The real strength was in knowing they were not alone anymore. Far across space, the White Tiger was responding to another distress call. A civilian transport was under attack by raiders near the Deneb system. Captain Deho sat in his command chair reviewing the tactical situation. 6 hostile vessels, Commander Yunji reported. The transport has maybe 10 minutes before their shields fail. Then we will be there in 8, Deho said calmly. Helm maximum combat speed. Yunji, prepare weapons. Hana, transmit our identification to those raiders. Let them know who they are dealing with. Identification transmitted, Hana confirmed. Captain, the raiders are breaking off their attack. They are fleeing the system. Deho allowed himself a small smile. They are learning. Good. Hail the transport. Let them know they are safe. This had been happening more frequently. The mere presence of a human ship, sometimes even just the identification signal, was enough to scare off attackers. Earth's reputation was becoming a weapon all by itself. Captain, Hana said, we are receiving 23 new distress signals from across the sector. Pirates, natural disasters, medical emergencies. Everyone wants Earth's help now. Deho looked at the list of calls, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. 23 situations, 23 chances to save lives. But the White Tiger was just one ship. They could not be everywhere. Plot courses to each location, he ordered. We will handle what we can in order of severity. Commander Hyunwoo stood at the docking airlock trying to calm his nerves. In all his years of service, he had met dozens of alien species, but he had never met a human before. Few people in the coalition had. Earth was new to the galactic community, and most humans preferred to stay close to their home systems. The airlock cycled open with a hiss of equalizing pressure. Captain Daeho stepped through, followed by several members of his crew. Hyunwoo's first thought was how ordinary they looked. He had heard stories about humans. Some species called them weak and soft. Others whispered that they were dangerous predators hiding behind civilized faces. Looking at Captain Daeho, Hyunwoo saw a man of average height with dark hair and calm eyes. He could have been any species. He looked normal. Then those calm eyes met his, and Hyunwoo understood. There was something ancient in that gaze, something that had seen conflict and come through it. This was not a soft civilian. This was a warrior who simply chose to wear a gentle face. "Commander Hyunwoo," Captain Daeho said, extending his hand in the human gesture of greeting. "Thank you for allowing us to dock." Hyunwoo grasped the offered hand, feeling the firm grip. "Captain Daeho, the gratitude is entirely ours. You saved us. You saved everyone on this station. There are no words adequate to express our thanks. You needed help. We provided it. That is what civilized people do." Daeho's tone made it sound so simple, so obvious, as if traveling across space to fight impossible odds was just the normal thing to do. Behind the captain, Commander Yunji stepped forward, along with Specialist Hana and several others. Lieutenant Jiwon was there to meet them, and Hyunwoo noticed how the two military officers sized each other up with professional respect. "Your defensive preparations were clever," Yunji said to Jiwon. "Converting mining equipment into weapons. It would not have stopped the Krathic, but it showed courage. Sometimes courage is more important than firepower." Jiwon bowed slightly. "We learned courage by watching your ship fight. 12 enemy vessels, and you did not hesitate for even a moment." "Hesitation gets people killed," Yunji replied. "We learned that lesson a long time ago." Dr. Sumin arrived, slightly out of breath from rushing through the station corridors. She carried her medical scanner and approached the human crew with professional concern. "Captain, your ship took significant damage during the battle. Were there any casualties? Any injuries among your crew?" A woman stepped forward wearing a medical uniform similar to Dr. Soman's. "I am Dr. Minji, the White Tiger's medical officer. We have a few minor injuries, nothing serious. Our concern is for your people. The stress of being under siege, the fear. These things leave wounds that scanners cannot see." Dr. Somin felt instant kinship with this human doctor who understood that healing was not just about treating physical damage. "Yes, exactly. I have many people who need counseling, especially the children. They were terrified." "Then let us work together," Dr. Minji said warmly. "Your people and mine. We can help them heal." Young Minho appeared, practically vibrating with excitement. His eyes were wide as he stared at the human crew. "Is it true? Did you really defeat 12 warships with just one vessel? How? What technology do you use? Can you teach us?" Specialist Hana smiled at the young technician's enthusiasm. "One question at a time. But yes, it is true. And maybe I can show you some of our communication systems if your commander approves. We humans believe in sharing knowledge with friends." "Friends," Hyunwoo repeated the word softly. "Yes. After what you did for us, Earth will always have friends here." Captain Daeho glanced at his crew, then back to Hyunwoo. "Commander, might we speak privately? There are things you should know about what happened here today and what it means for the future." They walked to Hyunwoo's office, a small room with a window overlooking the mining operations that had been Gantu Station's purpose before it became a battlefield. Daeho stood by the window for a moment, watching the distant moon that the station harvested for resources. "You are wondering why we came," Daeho said. "It was not a question. The thought had crossed my mind," Hyunwoo admitted. "Earth has no treaty with the Velnar Coalition. You owed us nothing. Your ship was clearly on a different mission when you received our distress call. You diverted from your assignment, risked your crew, and fought a battle you could have avoided. Why?" Daeho turned from the window. "Commander, what do you know about Earth's history?" "Very little," Hyunwoo confessed. "Just what everyone knows. You developed faster-than-light travel recently. You joined the galactic community. Your technology was considered primitive." "Primitive," Daeho repeated with a slight smile. "Yes, many species think that. They look at our ships and see designs different from theirs. They look at our weapons and see simple kinetic accelerators and chemical propellants. They assume we are less advanced." He paused. "They forget to ask why we developed these particular technologies. Why did you? Because we needed them to survive. Earth is not like most worlds in the galaxy, Commander. We did not have a peaceful evolution into civilization. We did not develop space travel to explore and discover. We developed it because we were running out of room to fight each other. Hyunwoo felt a chill run down his spine. Fight each other? For most of our history, humans were at war. Not occasionally, not rarely, almost constantly. Tribe against tribe, nation against nation, ideology against ideology. We have fought over land, resources, beliefs, and sometimes for no good reason at all. We nearly destroyed ourselves a dozen times over. But you survived. Yes, we survived because we learned. Every war taught us something new. Every conflict showed us a better way to communicate, to negotiate, to understand each other. And when we finally achieved peace among ourselves, we looked up at the stars and made a choice. What choice? Daeho's voice was firm and clear. We chose to never let what happened to us happen to anyone else if we could prevent it. We chose to use all the terrible knowledge we gained from our wars to protect instead of conquer. When we heard your distress call, we did not calculate the political benefit of helping you. We did not debate whether it was strategically wise. We simply came because people needed help and we could provide it. Hyunwoo sat down slowly, processing this information. The council advised us to surrender. They said resistance was futile. They said no help would come in time. They were being logical, Daeho agreed. By conventional military thinking, sending one ship against 12 is suicide. But humans stopped thinking conventionally a long time ago. We learned that sometimes the logical choice is not the right choice. What will happen now? Hyunwoo asked. The Krathic swarm will tell others about what happened here. Word will spread about Earth's military capabilities. Good. Let it spread. Let every pirate and slaver in the galaxy know that preying on the helpless has consequences. Let them know that Earth is watching. Daeho leaned against the desk. But understand something, Commander. We did not come here to build an empire. We did not defeat the Krathic to claim Gantu Station as territory. We came to help. When our repairs are complete, we will leave. This station remains yours. You ask for nothing in return. We ask that you remember. Remember that when you needed help, Earth answered. Remember that when you grow strong enough to help others, you should answer as well. That is how civilizations survive. Not by standing alone, but by standing together. There was a knock on the office door. Lieutenant Jiwon entered with Commander Yunji and several others. Sirs, you should see this. They returned to the command center where Minho had put the main display screen on a galactic news channel. A reporter from the Velnar Coalition was speaking urgently, and behind the reporter were images of the battle that had just occurred. Reports are coming in from Gantu Station, where a single Earth vessel successfully defended the colony from a Krathic swarm attack. 12 pirate warships were defeated by the KDSF, White Tiger, in what military analysts are calling an unprecedented display of combat capability. The screen showed footage captured by Gantu Station's external cameras, the White Tiger dodging fire, the railgun strikes, the plasma lance cutting through enemy ships. Every moment of the battle was now public record. The galactic community is responding with shock to these images, the reporter continued. Earth, long considered a minor power with limited military strength, has demonstrated capabilities that rival or exceed most coalition members. Questions are being raised about how humanity developed such advanced warfare technology, and what this means for the balance of power in the galaxy. Elder Tanis appeared on the screen next, his ancient face grave but respectful. The Velnar Coalition owes Earth a debt of gratitude. Captain Daeho and his crew saved thousands of lives today. We extend our formal invitation for Earth to join the Coalition as a full member with all rights and privileges. More faces appeared, representatives from dozens of species. Some were grateful, some were nervous, some were openly afraid. Earth was no longer the primitive newcomer. Earth was now a power that had to be taken seriously. Minho muted the sound and turned to Captain Daeho. Sir, everyone is talking about the battle. Messages are coming in from all over the galaxy. Some are thanking you. Some are asking for help with their own problems. Some are asking how Earth became so strong. Captain Daeho stood on the bridge of the White Tiger, his hands clasped behind his back as he watched the tactical display. 12 hostile contacts surrounded a civilian mining station. The situation was clear. The choice was obvious. Commander Yunji, status report, he said calmly. His first officer moved from station to station, checking readiness. All weapons systems online. Shields at full power. Ghost Drive is ready for combat deployment. Engineering reports all systems green. We are ready, Captain. Good. Deho studied the enemy formation. The Krathic ships had positioned themselves in a standard encirclement pattern. They expected their targets to run or hide. They did not expect to fight. That would be their first mistake. Specialist Hana, open a channel to Gantu Station. Let them know we are here to help. Hana worked her communications console with practiced efficiency. Within seconds, she had established contact. The voice that came back sounded tired and afraid. This Commander Hyunwoo had been preparing his people to die. Now, a single human ship had arrived, and he did not know whether to feel hope or guilt that someone else would die trying to save them. When Deho spoke to the station commander, he kept his voice steady and confident. These people needed to know that help had truly arrived. They needed to believe that one ship could make a difference. Even if that one ship was from Earth, a world most aliens still considered primitive and weak. Let them think that, Deho mused. Underestimation was a weapon all its own. The Krathic warlord's voice cut through the communications channel next, full of mockery and laughter. Deho listened without expression as Grakthor dismissed Earth's military capabilities and threatened to destroy the White Tiger. He seems confident, Yunji observed dryly. He has 12 ships, Deho replied. We have one. By traditional military calculations, he should be confident. Fortunately, we do not fight traditionally. Deho allowed himself a small smile. No, we do not. Chief Engineer Sung Hoon's voice came through from the engineering deck. Captain, I am reading significant power spikes from those Krathic ships. They are charging weapons. All of them are targeting us. Let them, Deho said. Helm, bring us to combat speed. Yunji, prepare the Ghost Drive. Hana, make sure Gantu Station has all their people in shelters. When this starts, there will be a lot of debris flying around. The bridge crew moved with smooth precision. Every person knew their job. Every person had trained for exactly this type of situation. The White Tiger was not humanity's largest warship or its most heavily armed. But it was fast, it was smart, and it was crewed by some of Earth's finest. On the tactical display, the Krathic fleet opened fire. Energy weapons from 12 warships converged on the White Tiger's position, enough firepower to vaporize a ship twice its size. Ghost Drive active, Yunji announced, engaging evasive pattern Delta 7. The White Tiger moved. Not just moved, but danced. The ship's experimental Ghost Drive created false sensor images, making it appear in multiple places at once. Meanwhile, the real vessel slipped between the enemy fire like smoke through fingers. To the Krathic sensors, it looked like they had scored direct hits. To the crew of Gantu Station watching in disbelief, it looked like the human ship had simply vanished and reappeared somewhere else entirely. Deho watched the enemy formation begin to break apart as individual ships tried to track their elusive target. Good. Confusion was the ally of the outnumbered. Yunji, target the lead ship on the left flank. Single railgun strike. Let us announce ourselves properly. Targeting solution locked, Yunji confirmed. Firing. The White Tiger's railgun was a simple weapon by galactic standards. No exotic energy fields. No exotic particle beams. Just a chunk of metal accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed using magnetic fields. Humanity had been using the principle for centuries, just on a much smaller scale. What made the White Tiger's railgun special was its targeting computer, developed from Earth's long history of missile defense and orbital warfare. While alien weapons relied on energy shields and dispersal fields, the railgun simply punched through them like they were not there. The projectile crossed the distance in seconds and struck the Krathic ship's midsection. The enemy shields flared, briefly, then collapsed as the kinetic force overwhelmed their capacity. The railgun slug tore through armor, through internal compartments, through everything in its path until it exited the other side of the ship. The Krathic vessel did not explode dramatically. It simply went dark as its power systems failed and its hull began venting atmosphere. 1 down, Yunji reported. 11 remaining. On Gantu Station, Commander Hyun-woo stared at his displays in shock. The human ship had just crippled a Krathic warship with a single shot. One shot. These were the same Krathic ships that had terrorized this sector for years. Ships that coalition forces needed entire fleets to fight, and a single human vessel had just disabled one like it was nothing. Grakthor's voice came back through the communications channel, but the mockery was gone. Now there was anger, and something else, something that might have been concern. What weapon was that? No energy signature, no particle beam. What did you hit us with? Daeho's response was calm and measured. Old technology, Warlord Grakthor. Very old. We have been throwing rocks at each other since we lived in caves. We have just gotten much better at it. The Krathic fleet adjusted their formation, moving into a tighter defensive cluster. They were taking the White Tiger seriously now. Their weapons tracked the human ship more carefully, firing in patterns designed to cover more space and prevent evasion. They are learning, Sung-hoon reported from engineering. Enemy fire patterns are adapting to our ghost drive. Then we adapt as well, Daeho said. Yunji, deploy missile package beta. Specialist Taiwan, begin cyber warfare protocols. Let us see how well their tactical networks handle some unexpected guests. Yunji worked her weapons console, and the White Tiger released a spread of missiles. Not the massive ship killers that capital vessels used, but smaller, smarter weapons. Each missile split apart as it flew, breaking into hundreds of tiny submunitions that swarmed toward the Krathic ships like angry hornets. The enemy point defense systems tried to shoot them down, but there were too many targets. The submunitions impacted across 2 Krathic vessels, tearing through sensor arrays, communications equipment, and weapon mounts. The ships were not destroyed, but they were crippled, blind, and unable to coordinate with the rest of the fleet. Meanwhile, Specialist Taewon was working his own kind of magic. The young cyber warfare specialist had studied alien computer systems extensively. The Krathic used old, brutally simple networks. They were hard to break into, but once you were inside, they had few defenses. Taewon's fingers flew across his console as he introduced carefully crafted viruses into the enemy systems. Captain, I am inside their tactical network. 3 ships are experiencing targeting malfunctions. Make that 4. Oh, this is interesting. Their flagship's shield harmonics are now broadcasting on an open channel. Daeho understood immediately. If they knew the shield harmonics, they could tune their weapons to pass right through them. Yunji, adjust railgun frequency to match those harmonics. Target Grakthor's flagship. Adjusting. Target locked. Firing. The second railgun shot crossed the void and struck Grakthor's ship dead center. The shields, calibrated to stop energy weapons and conventional projectiles, did nothing against a weapon tuned to their exact frequency. The slug punched into the flagship's armor and penetrated deep into the vessel's interior. Grakthor's voice came back, strained and furious. You dare use our own systems against us? You primitive savages? We are very good at learning from our enemies, Daeho replied. It is how we survived our own history. Every war, every conflict taught us something new. We have had many teachers over the centuries. We were excellent students. The battle continued, and the White Tiger moved through the enemy formation like a dancer through a crowd. Too fast to catch, too smart to trap, too dangerous to ignore. This was what humanity had learned from millennia of warfare against itself. Not just how to fight, but how to think about fighting, how to turn every disadvantage into an advantage, how to win when victory should be impossible. On Gantu Station, Lieutenant Ji-won watched the battle with growing amazement. The human ship was not just fighting, it was dominating. Every move was calculated, every shot was precise. This was not the primitive species the galaxy had dismissed. This was a predator that had learned to hunt among the stars. Dr. Somin stood beside her, equally transfixed. They are not even using their full strength, she whispered. Look at their power readings. They are holding back. She was right. The White Tiger was fighting 12 warships while only using a fraction of its capabilities. The ship's main weapons, whatever they were, had not even been deployed yet. Hyunwoo realized the truth in that moment. Earth had not sent their most powerful ship. They had not sent a fleet. They had sent a single patrol vessel, a light cruiser, by human standards, and it was dismantling the Krathic swarm piece by piece. What would happen if Earth sent their real warships? What would happen if humanity decided to truly show its strength? The thought was both terrifying and comforting at the same time. The alarm screamed through every corridor of Gantu Station. Commander Hyunwoo ran toward the command center, his heart pounding in his chest. He had never heard that particular alarm before. It was the one reserved for hostile ships entering the system. When he burst through the door, Lieutenant Ji-won was already at her station, her face pale as she stared at the display screens. 12 red dots surrounded their position. 12 warships, each one massive and bristling with weapons. They just appeared out of nowhere, Ji-won said, her voice shaking slightly. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel right on top of us. Hyunwoo moved to the main display and felt his stomach drop. He recognized those ship designs. Everyone in this part of space knew them. The Krathic swarm. Pirates, slavers, and murderers. They raided colonies, took prisoners, and left nothing but death behind. Get everyone to the shelters, Hyunwoo ordered. Sound the colony-wide alert. This is not a drill. Within minutes, the station's 3,000 inhabitants were scrambling for safety. Families grabbed their children and ran. Workers abandoned their posts at the mining equipment. Everyone knew what the Krathic swarm did to the colonies they captured. A message came through on the main communications channel. A harsh, grating voice filled the command center. Gantu Station, you are surrounded. You have no weapons. You have no defense. Surrender now and some of you will live as slaves. Resist and all of you will die. You have 48 hours to decide. The screen showed the face of Warlord Grakthor, the leader of this particular Krathic fleet. His reptilian features twisted into what might have been a smile. Then the communication ended. Hyunwoo stood frozen for a moment. 48 hours, 2 days to either give up everyone on this station to slavery or watch them all die fighting with mining lasers against military warships. Send distress signals, he said quietly. All frequencies. Every coalition member. Tell them we need help immediately. Young Minho, their communications technician, worked frantically at his console. His fingers flew across the controls, sending out the station's desperate plea across the stars. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Then 2. Finally, responses started coming in. The Velnar coalition fleet was 2 weeks away. The nearest patrol ship was 10 days out. Other species sent their sympathies but said they could do nothing in time. Dr. Soman entered the command center, still wearing her medical coat. I have the shelters prepared, she said. But Hyunwoo, we have children here, families. If those ships attack, our hull will not protect them. We are a mining station, not a fortress. Hyunwoo knew she was right. Gantu Station was built to drill into moons and process ore, not to withstand military weapons. One sustained attack and the hull would breach. Everyone inside would die in the cold vacuum of space. Ji-won approached him, her jaw set with determination. Sir, we have mining equipment. Heavy drill lasers. Explosive charges we use for breaking up asteroids. If we modify them, we might be able to mount some kind of defense. Against 12 warships? Hyunwoo asked. Against 12 warships, Ji-won confirmed. I would rather die fighting than let those monsters take our people as slaves. Hyunwoo looked around the command center. He saw the same determination on every face. These were good people. Peaceful people. They had built their lives here on the edge of space, far from the conflicts and politics of the core worlds. They had never wanted war, but war had come to them anyway. Do it, he said finally. Modify whatever you can. But Ji-won, understand this. We are buying time, nothing more. Those ships will destroy us long before we can hurt them. As Ji-won left to organize the defense, Hyunwoo contacted the Velnar Coalition Council. The face of Elder Tanis appeared on the screen, his ancient features drawn with concern. Commander Hyunwoo, we have received your distress call. I am sorry. Our fleet cannot reach you in time. Then what would you have us do? Hyunwoo asked. Though he already knew the answer, Elder Tanis was silent for a long moment. Surrender. Save as many lives as you can. The coalition will negotiate for your release. It may take time, but we will bring you home. You want us to become slaves? I want you to survive. Elder Tanis said gently. The Krathic will kill everyone if you resist. At least as slaves you will live. You can be rescued later. Hyunwoo ended the communication without responding. He knew Elder Tanis was probably right. Resistance meant certain death. Surrender meant slavery, but at least some chance of rescue eventually. It was the logical choice. The smart choice. But looking at the faces of his crew, at the families huddling in the shelters below, at the children who would grow up in chains, Hyun-woo did not feel very logical. 30 hours passed. The Krathic ships held their position, surrounding the station like predators circling wounded prey. Jiwon and her team worked without rest, converting mining equipment into makeshift weapons. It was not much. It would not be enough, but it was something. Minho continued sending distress signals, though fewer and fewer responses came back. Most simply wished them luck. Some offered prayers. None offered ships or weapons or any real help. Dr. Soman distributed supplies to the shelters and prepared her medical bay for casualties that would likely never come. When the Krathic attacked, death would be swift and total. There would be no wounded to treat. With 18 hours remaining, Hyun-woo stood in the command center staring at the display. 12 red dots. One small station. No hope, no help. No miracle coming to save them. Sir? Minho said suddenly, his voice cutting through the heavy silence. I am detecting something. A ship just dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the system. Hyun-woo felt a brief flicker of hope, then pushed it down. One of ours? No, sir. Unknown signature. The ship is small, maybe cruiser-sized. Wait. Minho's fingers danced across his controls. Sir, it is moving fast. Really fast. Faster than anything I have ever seen. Can you identify it? Working on it. The ship is broadcasting an identification signal now. Oh no. What is it? Hyun-woo moved to Minho's station. Sir, the ship identifies itself as KDSF White Tiger. That designation means it is from Earth, from the humans. A strange feeling settled over the command center. Humans. The galaxy's newest members. Everyone knew about Earth. A small planet that had just developed faster-than-light travel a few years ago. Their technology was primitive by galactic standards. Their weapons were outdated. They had no real military power, they were essentially harmless. One human ship, Jiwon said quietly. Against 12 Krathic warships, they will be slaughtered. But even as she spoke, something changed on the display. The single dot representing the human ship was moving impossibly fast, closing the distance to Gantu Station at speeds that should not be possible for a vessel of its size. Minho opened a communication channel. A calm female voice came through, speaking in perfect Coalition standard language. Gantu Station, this is Specialist Hana of the KDSF White Tiger. We received your distress call. Captain Daeho is requesting permission to render assistance. Hyun-woo stood speechless for a moment. Then he found his voice. White Tiger, this is Commander Hyun-woo. We are grateful for your response, but you should know the situation. 12 hostile warships surround us. They have given us an ultimatum. We do not expect you to sacrifice yourselves. There was a pause. Then a different voice came through, deeper and impossibly calm. Commander Hyun-woo, this is Captain Daeho. We did not come all this way to turn around. Please keep your people in shelter. Things are about to get loud. The human ship appeared on their visual displays now, accelerating toward the Krathic fleet. It was smaller than the enemy warships, sleek and dark, with strange angular lines that seemed to drink in the light around it. Grakthor's voice suddenly boomed through the communication channels, filled with laughter. A human ship? One primitive Earth vessel thinks it can challenge the Krathic swarm? This will be entertaining. Destroy them. The Krathic fleet opened fire. Brilliant streams of energy weapons lit up the darkness of space, all converging on the single human ship. Hyun-woo waited for the explosion, for the human vessel to be torn apart by overwhelming firepower. But when the weapons reached the spot where the White Tiger had been, the ship simply was not there anymore. It had moved. Impossibly fast, impossibly precise, and it was moving toward the Krathic fleet like a predator finally released from its chains. The White Tiger moved faster than anything should be able to move. One moment it was engaging the Krathic fleet at range. The next it was positioned directly between the enemy ships and Gantu Station. Shields to maximum forward, Captain Daeho ordered. All power from non-essential systems to defensive grid. Engineering, I need everything you have. You have got it, Captain, Sung-hoon replied from the engineering deck. Routing power now. But sir, we cannot take sustained fire from 6 warships. Even our shields have limits. We do not need to tank their fire forever, Deho said calmly. Just long enough. The Krathic fleet opened fire. Energy beams and plasma bolts streaked across space, all aimed at the civilian station behind the White Tiger. Every shot struck the human ship's shields instead, creating brilliant flares of light as massive amounts of energy dissipated against the defensive fields. On Gantu Station, the crew watched their displays in stunned silence. The human ship was taking fire meant to destroy an entire colony. The shields were holding, but everyone could see the power readings fluctuating wildly. The White Tiger was absorbing punishment that would have vaporized most ships, and it was doing it to protect people it had never met. Lieutenant Jiwan felt tears in her eyes. They are sacrificing themselves for us. Maybe, Commander Hyunwoo said quietly. Or maybe they have a plan. On the White Tiger's bridge, alarms were blaring. Damage reports were coming in from multiple sections. The shields were holding, but barely. Shields at 60%, Yunji reported. 55. 50. Captain, we need to move or return fire. Not yet, Deho said. Taewon, how long until you have full access to their targeting systems? The cyber warfare specialist's fingers were a blur on his console. 20 seconds, 15. I am in their fire control computers now. Captain, I can redirect their aim. Do it. Make them shoot each other. Taewon grinned as he executed the command. On 3 of the Krathic ships, targeting computers suddenly identified their sister vessels as hostile targets. The ships did not stop firing. They simply changed targets. 2 Krathic warships took direct hits from their own fleet. Shields collapsed under friendly fire. Explosions ripped through their hulls as plasma meant for Gantu Station tore into unprotected systems instead. Chaos erupted in the enemy formation. Ships tried to cease fire, but their systems were no longer responding properly. The human cyber attack had wormed deep into their networks, turning sophisticated warships into dangerous liabilities. Shields at 40% and holding, Yunji announced. Enemy fire has decreased significantly. Good work, Taewon, Deho said. Now, Yunji, show them what the White Tiger really is. Activate the plasma lance. Commander Yunji's hands moved across her weapons console with practiced precision. Deep in the White Tiger's core, power systems that had been running quietly suddenly roared to life. Energy levels that had seemed high before were nothing compared to what the ship was generating now. On Gantu Station sensors, the human ship's power signature suddenly increased by an order of magnitude. Dr. Somin gasped as she read the numbers. That is impossible. That much power in a ship that size should tear it apart. But the White Tiger did not tear apart. Instead, a brilliant lance of superheated plasma erupted from the ship's bow. It was not a beam in the traditional sense. It was a focused stream of matter so hot and so dense that it cut through space itself like a blade. The plasma lance struck the first Krathic ship and simply did not stop. It burned through the shields like they were not there. It melted through armor plating. It vaporized everything in its path, and it kept going, slicing the warship completely in half. Then it swept sideways, still firing, still cutting. The lance passed through a second ship, then a third. In the span of 10 seconds, 3 Krathic warships were carved into pieces by a weapon that should not exist. Warlord Grakthor's voice came through the communications channel, no longer angry or mocking. Now it was filled with pure fear. What are you? What kind of monsters are you? Deho's response was ice cold. We are humans. We are what happens when a species fights itself for 10,000 years, and then finally looks up at the stars. We are what becomes of a world that almost destroyed itself learning how to make war, and we have decided to use that knowledge to protect those who cannot protect themselves. The plasma lance finally shut down, its energy reserves depleted. But the damage was done. Of the 12 Krathic ships that had arrived at Gantu Station, only 3 were still functional. Grakthor's flagship was heavily damaged, limping on emergency power. The other 2 were in better shape, but their captains had clearly lost all will to fight. They are breaking formation, Yunji reported, trying to position for a jump to faster than light speeds. Target their engines, Deho ordered. Disable, do not destroy. I want them alive. The White Tiger's railgun spoke twice more. Precise shots that struck the engines of 2 fleeing ships, leaving them dead in space but intact. Only Grakthor's flagship still had propulsion, though it was damaged and slow. Captain Deho opened a communication channel that would broadcast to all the surviving Krathic ships and to Gantu Station as well. When he spoke, his voice carried a weight that made even Commander Hyunwoo shiver. Warlord Grakthor, you came to this station expecting easy prey. You came expecting to enslave or kill helpless civilians. You did not expect anyone to stop you. That was your mistake. There was silence from Grakthor's ship. Daeho continued. I'm going to let you live. Your damaged ship still has enough power to make it back to your territory. When you arrive, I want you to tell your people what happened here. Tell every pirate, every slaver, every warlord who preys on the innocent. Tell them that Earth is watching. Tell them that humanity protects those who cannot protect themselves. You cannot watch everywhere. Grakthor's voice came back, weak and bitter. You are just one species. Just one fleet. You cannot save everyone. You are right, Daeho agreed. We cannot save everyone. But we will save who we can. And every time predators like you think you have found easy prey, there is a chance a human ship will be nearby. There is a chance that instead of helpless victims, you will find us. Ask yourself, Warlord Grakthor, is the risk worth it? Is any slave or any plunder worth facing Earth's weapons? The Krathic flagship began limping away, moving slowly toward the edge of the system where it could safely jump to faster-than-light travel. The other disabled Krathic ships remained behind, drifting in space like monuments to their own arrogance. As the battle ended, the crew of the White Tiger began damage assessments and repairs. The ship had taken significant hits, but nothing critical. Sung-hoon was already coordinating repair teams, and the engineering crew was working to restore full power to all systems. Hana, open a channel to Gantu Station, Daeho ordered. The young specialist worked her console. Channel open, Captain. Commander Hyunwoo, this is Captain Daeho. The immediate threat has passed. We are requesting permission to dock for repairs and to offer any humanitarian assistance you might need. There was a pause before Hyunwoo's voice came back, thick with emotion. Permission granted, White Tiger. Permission absolutely granted. And Captain Daeho, we cannot thank you enough. You saved us. You saved everyone. We did what anyone should do, Daeho replied. We helped someone who needed help. The White Tiger moved slowly toward Gantu Station, its weapons powered down and its shields lowered. As the human ship approached, every person on the station who had access to a window pressed against it to catch a glimpse of their saviors. Lieutenant Jiwon stood at one such window, tears streaming down her face. Beside her, young Minho was recording everything on his personal device, knowing that this moment would be shared across the entire coalition. Dr. Somin was in her medical bay, no longer preparing for mass casualties, but instead getting ready to assist the human crew with any injuries they might have sustained. She found herself both nervous and excited to meet these mysterious humans who had proven so much stronger than anyone expected. Commander Hyunwoo remained in the command center, watching the White Tiger approach on his displays. He thought about Elder Tanis and the Coalition Council. They had advised surrender. They had said no help would come in time. They had been ready to let Gantu Station fall because fighting back seemed impossible, but Earth had not gotten that message. Or perhaps they had and simply chose to ignore it. They had come anyway, sent one ship and one crew to face impossible odds, and they had won. What kind of people did that? What kind of species traveled across the stars to save strangers? As the White Tiger settled into a docking position, Hyunwoo straightened his uniform and prepared to meet Captain Daeho in person. He wanted to look these humans in the eye and understand what drove them. He wanted to know what made Earth different from every other species in the galaxy. Because after today, everything had changed. The Krathic swarm had learned that the weak were not always as helpless as they appeared. The Coalition had learned that Earth was not the primitive species they had dismissed. And most importantly, every colony and station on the frontier had learned that when darkness came and hope seemed lost, there was a chance that a ship from Earth might appear.